All right, Attorney General Sessions, thanks for joining us today. You're here at the Turning Point USA High School Leadership Summit to discuss free speech. So tell us a little bit what you're going to be talking about, what the main theme you want the students to walk away with today.
Well, I'd like students to feel the freedom that America gives them. When they believe something, they've studied something, they have certain values, that they should be free to advocate for those values, to speak up for them. And we have in this country too much suppression, really. Yes, suppression I think is a all right word for that happening at universities and other places where people are intimidated and blocked from expressing themselves. So we at the Department of Justice believe that can impact the constitutional right of free speech, even assembly. And we filed a number of actions in court to support students and the freedom that we believe they're entitled to on public universities.
And so not only have we seen on some of these campuses, you mentioned, the movement to suppress speech, but we also have seen violence in reaction to conservative speakers coming to campus or speakers who some students deem as offensive. Why do you think that is? Why do you think over the last few years we've seen an uptick in this type of movement? And aside from the lawsuits, I guess, what do you think students can do in their own daily lives to protect speech on their campus?
I hope students will push back, even in the classroom. But sometimes teachers are older and they can bully in a classroom a conservative student or a student who has a different viewpoint, liberal or conservative. And I think proper, thoughtful objection from students can have an impact. But we cannot allow what has been referred to as the heckler's veto. We cannot allow a perfectly legitimate speech or event on campus to be blocked because a few protesters are going to heckle and cause a disturbance. That is a diminution of free speech we cannot allow. Universities are going to have to stand up and protect the right of their students to debate and have controversial issues discussed.
And so some of the groups we've seen who've come out in violent protests against speech are these groups such as Antifa. How serious a threat do you take these groups? And while you did mention the lawsuits against some of these university administrations, would we ever see any, legal action taken against groups like these that try to organize, violently on campuses?
Well, Eduardo, I think that you could see something like that in the future. I don't know. I won't speculate on it with any legal certainty, but I would say these groups are not entitled to block Americans in the right to speak and debate and have an event and express a contrary view. And they're not in the American tradition when they do so. And some of the people that are connected to some of these groups like Antifa have had very extreme backgrounds. So they don't get to tell who gets to speak on campus. They're not the voice of America. They need to advocate on their own, intellectually and morally, and try to see if they can win the hearts of the American people or the students. That's the way you do in America.
Right, well, I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you mentioned you would like students to respectfully push back, because some of the school of thought, I've seen two schools of thought. Some advise young conservative students to put your head down, just get through college without speaking out. It's easier to not deal with the administration, and then others say, no, push back and stand your ground in a respectful way to protect speech. So I'm glad you said that. Another question
on that point, I think it just sharpens your mind. If you are prepared to go into a class and the professor has a certain view and to respectfully dissent, it challenges you to be thoughtful about what you're going to say. It makes you sharper. When I see a person that comes out of a liberal university who is articulate and who's been able to defend their beliefs effectively, I know I've got a strong person, like Sarah Flores sitting right here. She was active at Harvard, didn't mind battling for the issues she believed in, and did so steadfastly. And we have a lot like that in the government and at the Department of Justice.
Well, I think most reasonable people in America would agree with you, and I hope they do. I have one more question for you on the issue of free speech, more broadly, maybe outside of campuses. We've seen debates happen, with groups like the NFL, some private entities, and some people want to say that private companies don't have a right to tell their employees what they are and what they are not allowed to say. What is the Department of Justice's view on free speech within private companies?
That can be complex, and there can be some tough questions that arise in the course of trying to determine how you handle those issues. But I don't think it's improper for McDonald's to tell its employees, we don't want you serving hamburgers wearing a Clinton or Trump button or hat. I mean, this is bad for business. And if you're going to work at our business, you have to not act in that way. So there's sometimes a difficult line to draw, but there's certainly quite a bit of difference in the private right to make sure its employees are not offensive to even a significant number of its customers.
Well, Mr. Attorney General, thank you for joining us. Good luck on your speech later today, and we look forward to hearing it.
Thank you. Good to be with you.